3 years after President Cyril Ramaphosa held a summit on gender-based violence and femicide, a promised National Council for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide has still not been convened. The president set aside 1.6 billion rand for the implementation of the National Strategic Plan for GBV. But gender-based violence is going nowhere, as recent crime statistics show. Over 10,000 rapes were reported between the beginning of April and the end of June this year. Here's eNCA's Nadine Teron with that story.
The United Nations Committee for the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women says the South African government has failed to protect women appropriately. On Women's Day, President Cyril Ramaphosa received the first report about the implementation of the National Strategic Plan for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. The president wanted the National Council for GBV and Femicide to be established by April last year, but there's no sign of it.
The issue of establishing this council has been on the national agenda for quite some time now. Since the Gender-Based Violence Summit in 2018, the ISC that came out of that was supposed to ensure that some of the outcomes of that summit are implemented, was supposed to have come up with this council within 6 months of existence. That did not happen. The council was pushed now to the Emergency Response Action Plan, which was also a 6-month plan. And still, to date, we don't have the council.
The Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities says there have been several snags.
In 2019, a cabinet took a decision that civil society asked for a legislated council. However, cabinet said legislation takes a process. So rather to fast track this, because violence is happening now, let's establish the council through a trust. However, we were not able to establish it through a trust because you need approval from the National Treasury before you can establish a trust. So we couldn't, because National Treasury couldn't give us that approval. So that's one other thing that made us to delay.
Maluleke says Parliament rejected the first draft of the legislation last year and the government is working on a new draft. She hopes it will be tabled before Parliament by the end of this year. But in the meantime, women will continue to suffer. Nadine Teron, Cape Town.
The Public Works and Infrastructure Minister